Good day, everyone. Our tackle for today is about Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Chapter 3 first, I tackled about cognition and applying knowledge from the physical world to the digital world, and the rest is for the other members. So, cognition. What is cognition? Cognition is the term referring to the mental processes involved in gaining knowledge and comprehensions. So, na siya mga different cognitive processes which is include thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, and problem solving. Ano siya mga different cognitive processes. There are two categories on cognition, hot versus cold cognition. Hot cognition refers to mental processes in which emotion plays a role, such as reward-based learning. So, ang cold cognition, dili siya mag-involve feelings or emotions such as working memory. History of the study of cognition. There are two, philosophical origins and early psychology. That is approach to the study of mind that people understand the world by first identifying basic principles, then use rational thought to create knowledge. So, ang early psychology was largely dominated by psychoanalysis, by behavioralism, and humanism. There are 6 types of cognitive processes: attention, language, learning, memory, perception, thought. Attention allows people to focus on a specific stimulus in the environment. Language involves the ability to understand and express thoughts through spoken and written words. Learning involves taking in new things, synthesizing information, and integrating with prior knowledge. Memory allows people to encode, store, and retrieve information. Perception allows people to take information through their senses, then utilize this information to respond and interact with the world. Thought, it allows people to engage in decision making, problem solving, and higher reasoning. So, what can affect cognition? Which is age, attention issues, cognitive biases, genetics, memory limitations. Age refers to research indicates the function's mutant shot to decline. So attention issues to focus everything in your environment. Cognitive biases, how people process and interpret information about the world. Genetics, studies have connected cognitive function with certain genes. Memory limitations can be stable and enduring with memories lasting years and even decades. Uses of cognition. There are 3: learning new things, forming memories, making decisions. Learning new things, being able to take in new information. Ang forming memories, how to remember, how we remember, and what we forget, reveal a great deal sa kanang nga cognitive process nga gi-operate. Making decisions, it involves making judgments about things they have processed. Naapod ni siya mga impact sa cognition, which is the perceiving the world, forming impressions, filling in the gaps, interacting with the world. Tips for improving cognition: stay healthy, think critically, stay curious, and keep learning. And lastly, skip multitasking, applying knowledge from the physical world to the digital world. When virtually any object can be connected to the internet, so nga to ang digital o physical worlds mo increase siya sa converge. Internet of Things forms the basis nga kana nga convergence, but Internet of Things is dili siya single technology. So, advances in technology kay maka-profound effect siya on the way we learn and the way we teach. The convergence of the physical and digital worlds nga maka-fundamentally change what it means to be online. Nya kana siya mag-far-reaching siya implications for society and for the all sectors of the economy, from medicine to manufacturing. The physical world mag-refer siya to the things nga actually represent that can individually can see, hear, smell, touch, and taste.
So, good day everyone. So, I am going to report about a conceptual framework for cognition. In this section, we examine 3 of these approaches, which each have a different perspective on cognition: mental models, information processing, external cognition. Mental models, an explanation of someone's thought process about how something works in the real world. It is a representation of surrounding world, the relationships between its various parts, and a person's intuitive perceptions about their own acts and their own consequences. So mental, it talks about thoughts and ideas on how to think, on how we think when dealing consequences or situation. What are the five mental models? First, principle thinking. Second, order thinking. Inversion, map versus territory. Feynman's technique. Information processing, the acquisition, recording, organization, retrieval, display, and dissemination of information. In recent years, the term has been often applied to computer-based operations specifically. So, information processing is a type of process such as recording, organizing, retrieval, display, and dissemination of information. What are the three stages of information processing? Stimulus identification, response selection, response programming. Four types of information processing: input processing, data processing, output, and storage processing. External cognition, the information processing that goes on between the internal cognition of the human mind and the perception and manipulation of external representations. The combination of external representations and physical tools have greatly extended and supported people's ability to carry out cognitive activities. External cognition is concerned with explaining cognitive processes involved when we interact with the different external representations. So cognitive benefits of using different representation for different cognitive activities and the process involved. Externalizing to reduce memory load, computational offloading, annotating, and cognitive tracing. So first is externalizing to reduce memory load. A number of the strategies have been developed for transforming knowledge into external representations to reduce memory load. One such strategy is externalizing things we find difficult to remember, such as birthdays, appointments, and addresses. Other kinds of external representations that people frequently employ are notes like stickies, shopping lists, and to-do lists. So externalizing to reduce memory load is to do something to make things easy to remember. So externalizing, therefore, can help reduce people's memory burden by reminding them to do something, reminding them of what to do, reminding them of when to do something. Computational offloading. Computational offloading occurs when we use a tool or device in conjunction with an external representation to help us carry out computations. An example is using pen and paper to solve math problems. It is much harder to perform the calculations using Roman numerals than algebraic numerals, even though the problem is equivalent in both conditions. The reason for this is two kinds of representation transform the text into one that is easy and more difficult, respectively. The kind of tool used also can change the nature of a text to being more or less easy. So computational offloading talks about using a tool to make easier to make the representation easier. So example is solving math problems. So we cannot solve problems without tools such as a ball pen and pen, ball pen and paper. Annotating and cognitive tracing. Another way in which we externalize our cognition is modifying representations to reflect changes that are taking place that we wish to mark. For example, people often cross things off in to-do lists to show that they have been completed. They may also reorder objects and environments, say by creating different piles of nature of work to be done changes. Two kinds of modification are called annotating and cognitive tracing. Annotating involves modifying external representations, such as crossing off or underlining items. Cognitive tracing involves generally manipulating items into different orders or structures. Annotating is often used by when people go shopping. People usually begin their shopping by planning what they are going to buy. The act of writing may also remind them of items that they need to buy that they may not have noticed when looking through the cupboards. When they actually go shopping to the store, they may cross off items to shopping list as they replace the shopping basket or cart. So kinds of modification, so annotating and cognitive tracing. So annotating is crossing or underlining items. So the best example here is when you go shopping and you get the items and put it in the cart, and yes, you are going to mark or cross the items in the list. And also in cognitive tracing, it is also manipulating items into different orders. So you're going to rearrange the items that can mark na nimo. Cognitive tracing is useful in situations where the current state of play is in a state of flux and the person is trying to optimize their current position. This typically happens when playing games such as in a card game. The continued rearrangement of a hand of cards into suits ascending order, or same numbers to help determine what cards to keep and which to play. As the game progresses and tactics change. In Scrabble, where shuffling around letters in the tray helps the persons work out best with given set of letters. So cognitive tracing, so it is useful when playing a card game. So you are going to trace so which card you are going to play and which card you are going to ilabay. So also in playing Scrabble, you're shuffling letters so that you can get the best word. That's all.
Hello everyone, so I'm Jana Derlin Germo and my topic is all about social mechanisms in communication and collaboration. So, a fundamental aspect of everyday life is talking, during which we pass on knowledge to each other. We continuously update each other about news, changes, and developments in a given project, activity, person, or events. So, for example, friends and families keep each other posted on what's happening at work, school, at the pub, at the club, next door, in a soap operas, and in news. Similarly, people who work together keep each other informed about their social lives and everyday happenings, as well as what is happening at work. For instance, when a project is about to completed, plans for a new project, problems with meetings, deadlines, rumors about closures, and so on. So the kinds of knowledge that are circulated in different social circles are diverse, varying among social groups and across cultures. The means by which communications happen is also flexible. It can take place via face-to-face conversations, telephone, video phone, messaging, email, fax, and letters. So nonverbal communications also plays an important role in augmenting face-to-face conversations involving the use of facial expressions, back channeling, voice intonation, gesturings, and other kinds of body language. So there are three main categories of social mechanisms. So first, the use of conversational mechanisms to facilitate the flow of talk and help overcome breakdowns during it. And second is the use of coordination mechanisms to allow people to work and interact together. So the third, the use of awareness mechanisms to find out what is happening, what others are doing, and conversely, to let others know what is happening. So in conversational mechanisms, is the use of conversational mechanisms to facilitate the flow of talking and help overcome breakdowns during it. The use of coordination mechanisms to allow people to work and interact together. Sachs, Skilloff, and Jefferson, 1978, who are famous to their work on conversation analysis. So there are three basic rules. So first rule is the current speaker chooses the next speaker by asking an opinion, question, or request. So second rule is another person decided to start speaking. Third rule, the current speaker continues talking. So for the most part, people are not aware of following conversational mechanisms and would be hard pressed to articulate how they can carry on a conversation. They may interrupt each other or over each other even when the current speaker has clearly indicated a desire to hold the floor for the next 2 minutes to finish an argument. The outcome is an embarrassing silence followed by either the teacher or another student picking up the conversation again. So, in detecting breakdowns in conversation requires the speaker and listener to be attending to what the other says. Listeners may also signal when they don't understand something or want further clarification by using various tokens like ha or what, together with giving a puzzled look. For example, they might say I want it to their partner without saying what it is they want. The partner may reply using a token or alternatively explicitly ask what do you mean by it. So in kinds of conversations can take a variety of forms such as an argument, a discussion, a heated debate, a chat, or giving someone a telling off. A well-known distinction is conversation type is between formal and informal communication. So informal communications involves assigning certain rules to people and prescribing a priority types of turns that people are allowed to take in a conversation. So example, at a board meeting, it is decided who allowed to speak, who speak when, who manages to take turn taking, and what the participants are allowed to talk about. So in informal communication is the chat that goes on when people socialize. It is also commonly happens when people bump into each other and talk briefly. Informal conversations include talking about impersonal things like the weather and the price of living, or more personal things like how someone is getting on with a new roommate. In office settings, such chance conversations have been found to serve a number of functions, including coordinating group work, transmitting knowledge about office culture, establishing trust, and general team building. So, in designing collaborative technologies to support conversation, one of the challenges confronting designers is to consider how the different kinds of communications can be facilitated and supported in settings where there may be obstacle preventing it from happening naturally. A central concern has been to develop systems that allow people to communicate with each other when they are in physically different locations and thus not able to communicate in the usual face-to-face manner, such as email, video conferencing, video phones, computer conferencing. Chat rooms and messaging are well-known examples of some of the collaborative technologies that have been developed to enable this to happen. The various collaborative technologies have been designed to support different kinds of communications, from informal to formal and from one to many conversations. Collectively, such technologies are often referred to as a mediated communication, or CMC. So that's all for my topic. Thank you and God bless.
So, hello everyone. My topic is all about coordination mechanism. What is coordination? Coordination takes place when a group of people act or interact together to achieve something. Collaborative activities require us to coordinate with each other. So, for example, consider what is involved in playing a game of basketball. Teams have to work out how to play with each other and to plan a set of tactics that they think they will outwit the other team. For the game to proceed, both teams need to follow the rules of the game. An incredible amount of coordination is required within a team and between the competing teams in order to play. Coordinating mechanisms. So there are three: verbal and nonverbal communications. Second is schedules, rules, and conventions. Third is shared external representation. So first is verbal and nonverbal communication. When people are working closely together, they talk to each other, issuing commands and letting others know how they are progress with their part. So for example, moving a piano, they shout to each other commands like down a bit, lift a bit, now straight forward to coordinate their actions with each other. As in a conversation, nods, shakes, winks, glances, and hand raising are also in combinations with such coordination talk. So second is schedules, rules, and conventions. So it is used to use various kinds of schedules to organize the people who are part of it. So example, teachers has a seminars and lectures that need to run this week. A schedule has to be devised that allows teachers to attend the lectures and seminars, taking into account numerous rules and constraints. This includes a teacher cannot attend more than one lecture at a time. A professor cannot give more than one lecture or seminar at a given time. Only a certain number of teachers can be placed in a room depending on its size. So third, shared external representations are commonly used to coordinate people. So for example, calendars that appear on other users' monitors as graphical charts, email reminders, and dialog boxes. Designing collaborative technologies to support coordination. Shared calendars, electronic schedulers, projects management tool, and workflow tools that provide interactive forms of scheduling and planning are some of the main kinds of collaborative technologies that have been developed to support coordination. Next is awareness mechanisms. Involves knowing who is around, what is happening, and who is talking with whom. For example, when we are at a party, we move around the physical space, observing what is going on and who is talking with whom, eavesdropping on others' conversation, and passing on gossip to others.
Good evening. I'm Axel J.D. Fuentes. I'm going to talk about designing collaborative technologies to support awareness. What are the collaborative technologies? It, it gives the impression to the user of real-time interaction with someone who is remote distance away. With the help of technology, people can efficiently communicate no matter the distance between them. Using business communication apps, employees can send messages, share files, set up conference calls, and create online forums so lines of communication are kept open at all times. So it means about the race. When you say collaborative is um, it talks about people sharing ideas or talking um, any information uh, with the help of technology. So just like video call, you are using our cell phones or maybe laptops or any gadget that will help us to communicate with one another. Ang mananggingan rin is who is remote distance away. So one of the early system was portholes. develop a Xerox PRC research lab. The system presented regularly updated, digitized video images of people in their offices from a number of different locations. So, kasabot na is kanang mga video call. So, digital video of images of people. So, makita niyo ilang mga faces, ilang mga reactions, so, ano mga ipambuhat nila. So, clicking one of the images had the effect of bringing up dialog box, providing further information about that individual, together with a slate of action buttons. Emphasis in the design of this early awareness system was largely on supporting peripheral monitoring, allowing people to see each other and their progress. Doris and Bellotti from 1992 referred to this as shared feedback. Notifications mechanism are also used to provide information about the status of shared objects and the progress of collaborative tasks. So, an example of this distributive awareness system is Elvin. So, Elvin is developed at the University of Queensland, which provides a range of client services. A highly successful client is TickerTape, which is a lightweight instant messaging system showing small color-coded messages that scroll from left to right across the screen. In addition to presenting awareness information as streaming text messages, more abstract forms of representations have been used. For example, a communication tool called Bubble, developed at IBM, provides a dynamic visualization of the participants in an ongoing chat-like conversation. The more active a participant is in the conversation, the more the corresponding marble is moved toward the center of the circle. So next is the ethnographic studies of the collaborative and communication. So it means here is about studies. So about the face-to-face interviewing one person to another, and how the collaboration and communication works or is. So main approaches to informing the design of collaborative technologies that takes into account social concerns is carrying out an ethnographic study. The outcome of such studies can be illuminating, revealing how people currently manage their work and everyday environments. So here it's stated that due to these ethnographic studies, they're able to know what the person is doing, or what collaborative and communication helps to the person using this, or how it is being influenced. There are many reasons behind that. So next is the findings of these studies are used both in the design of a specific system intended for a particular workplace, and more generally to provide input into design of new technology. So example, an early study by Lucy Suchman from year 1983 looked at the way existing office technologies were being designed in relation to how people actually work. She observed what really happened in a number of offices and found that there was a big mismatch between the way work was actually accomplished and the way people were supposed to work using the office technology provided. She argued that designers would be much better positioned to develop systems that could match the way people behave and use technology if they began considering the actual duties of the workplace. So Lucy Suchman looked so that it should the work in the office technology the same what do we call this the same, or having a mutual way of work so that it would work. Since such months seminal work, a large of ethnographic studies have examined how work gets done in a range of companies and local government. The objective has been to understand better the social aspects of each setting and then to come up with implications for design and future technologies that will support and extend these. So yeah, so what she's trying to do here is to improve and or make any innovations that support future technologies to help the collaborative technologies to improve more. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so this is Chad Carl Ayao, and today I'm going to tackle about conceptual framework. So, conceptual framework. A number of conceptual frameworks of the social have been adapted from other disciplines, like sociology and anthropology. And there are two well-known approaches in conceptual frameworks, which are language or action framework and distributed cognition. So, the language or action framework, people act through languages, and here it is based on various theories of how people use language in their everyday activities, most probably speech act theory. So, speech act theory concerned with the functions utterances have in conversations. Austin 1962 and Searle 1969. So Austin and Searle have a theory in speech act. So also Austin emphasized the conventional interpretation of speech act, and Searle he emphasized a psychological interpretation. And also its common function is a request that is asked indirectly, known as an indirect speech act. So example, when someone says it's hot in here, they may really be asking if it would be okay to open the window because they need some fresh air. So the word it's hot in here is like a keyword or a code that they want to open the window because it is hot. So that is an example, another example. So there are five categories of speech act. Assertive, here commit the speaker to something being the case. Commissive, commit the speaker to some future action. Declaration, pronounce something has happened. Directives, get the listener to do something. Expressive, express a state of affairs such as apologizing or praising someone. The language, the language action approach was developed further into a framework called Conversations for Action, in short CFA or CFA. The CFA framework was used as the basis of a conceptual model for a commercial software product called Coordinator. So, Coordinator here was designed to enable electronic messages to be sent between people in the form of explicit speech acts, and also was designed to provide a straightforward conversational conversational structure, allowing the users to make clear the status of their work and likewise. So distributed cognition. Here it describes what happens in a cognitive system, and also it involves explaining the interactions the among people, the artifacts they use, and the environment they are working in. So example, so here is a cognitive system is an airplane cockpit where a top level goal is to fly the plane. So, example 1, the pilot and co-pilot and air traffic controller interacting with one another. So, example 2, the pilot and co-pilot interacting with the instruments in the cockpit. And lastly, the pilot and co-pilot interacting with the environment in which the plane is flying. Primary objective of the distributed cognition approach is to describe these interactions in terms of how information is propagated through different media, and transformations of information are referred to as changes in representational state. A distributed cognition analysis typically involves examining the distributed problem solving that takes place, the role of verbal and nonverbal behavior, the various coordinating mechanisms that are used, the various communicative pathways that take place as a collaborative activity progress, and how knowledge is shared and accessed. In addition, here the important part of a distributed cognition analysis is to identify the problems, breakdowns, and concomitant problem solving process out and concomitant problem solving process that emerge to deal with them. So this is the end of my report. Thank you.